He keeps me locked up. I cannot even remember since when. I must solve a puzzle. My husband is a strange man. Sometimes I wonder if he truly exists. Whenever he appears before me, he asks me how far I've come with the puzzle. He's always in a hurry. I don't know where he goes or who he talks to except for me. When we met, I was 13, and he was 36. He was smoking a cigar at the corner of the street. He adopted me and gave me a new name, Katia. I think that is the name of his great lost love. When I turned 18, he told me he liked my hands and asked me to marry him. I wasn't legally his daughter, so no one opposed it. I mean, no one on his part, namely 2 aunts and a brother that rarely came to visit. I accepted because it seemed like the proper thing to do. I had nowhere else to go, and he was such a handsome man. I was mesmerized by his grey, almost surreal eyes. He resembled a tormented poet with his effeminate countenance and pale skin, yet there was something gloomy in the way he pursed his lips. You could almost hear him whispering a gruesome curse when something did not go according to his wishes. I didn't know what it meant to be married, just as I didn't know anything about the outside world. My husband kept me under lock and key in his luxurious house. He had inherited it from a distant relative, or so he said. I received a very strict education. I went through hundreds of tutors and teachers. This is how I learned about so many things. I delved into geography, history, art, philosophy, biology, mathematics, and physics. Once, my art history teacher wanted to take me away with her. We almost snuck out through the front door, but he stopped us. From then on, I didn't see a teacher step foot inside my husband's house. We got married in secret in an improvised chapel. By secret, I mean the reality behind the front door, which had become unknown to me because of my confinement. I insisted that we have a witness to our union, namely my Greek tutor, a half-blind old man. I don't know how priests are supposed to look, but ours resembled a walrus, bold and with 2 long and funny teeth. He wore dark glasses, which I found to be very odd, considering that no light came into our chapel. When we reached my vows, he gave me a queer look from behind his glasses and spoke slowly, as if to himself. I inquired into what he had said and asked him to repeat it, but then remembered that I only had to murmur "I do," and so I did, thus ending the ceremony. After the wedding, we unexpectedly moved to my husband's native country. At the time I did not know he also had a castle, which he said was 5 miles away from where he grew up. It was the first time in 5 years when I saw bits of the outside world. I admired the scenery with childlike wonder. The blossom trees, the chatty women and their children who drew hopscotch on the cobblestone, the railway station and the tiny colorful houses. I couldn't believe how much beauty he'd kept away from me. Each time I tried to ask my husband things about my imprisonment, I received the same answer. Do you want to go back on the streets and end up dead in a gutter? I'll let you go, but you will perish. I know what I'm talking about. I've been through a lot. Life is cruel, especially for orphans. Am I not enough for you? Am I not good to you? Are you not taken care of? Are you not safe? The castle stretches over a large surface, resembling a camel's hump. It's covered in crabgrass and other odd-looking plants. If you look at it long enough, it seems to be pouring over you like a giant wave. It takes on different shapes according to the angle you measure it from. Sometimes it looks like a boat. Other times you can almost distinguish the profile of an older woman. That's how I realized it was not exactly an ordinary edifice. At first I was petrified. With time, I grew accustomed to both its own eccentricities and those of my husband. It's not easy being a magician's wife. It's just my humble deduction he's never admitted that he can use spells. But living in the castle does have its advantages. I can roam through hundreds of rooms. Apparently it's nothing special, but they are moving chambers. It's a term I've invented especially for them, and it means that they have the capacity to change their shape and their content from day to day. I never enter the same room per se. I always find something different. However, there are certain rooms that seem to call me back into their enchanted womb over and over again, as though they hold a secret to a life that was once mine. There's something strangely familiar about them. Sometimes I explore the castle out of boredom. Other times it's because I feel so lonely. No matter how fascinating it all is, I'm haunted by a permanent dread that I won't be able to assemble my puzzle. That's probably the price I have to pay for the wonders that the castle offers me. My husband has never shown me any signs of affection. He hasn't even kissed me. We sleep and eat separately. He's waiting for me to finish what I've begun before we go on our honeymoon, whatever that is. I wonder, if I accomplish this, will he love me? Will I be free at last? I've collected 456 pieces as of now, all extremely different from one another, which makes my task considerably harder. I was only given 2 clues. The pieces with more than 3 corners will join together. In the end, all the pieces, 1,000 in total, will make up the image of my husband's most precious memory. After dozens of sleepless nights and countless bizarre encounters, I have managed to scrape together the top part of the puzzle. A lighthouse, built on a small island. A pier extends at its base. On the left, a seagull stretches its wings in flight. Instead of being delighted by my efforts, my husband smiles sadly and pats my shoulder. It's probably his way of encouraging me. He says he will only be happy when the puzzle is complete. He's been even more sullen than usual for a while now. I can hear him slamming doors and grumbling in a foreign language. He frightens me. He doesn't utter more than a few words to me. His face is haggard. He doesn't resemble a fragile poet anymore. Before he leaves, he tells me he has to buy wood for the stove fire, as well as pins and naphthalene for my moth-eaten clothes. I'm sure they are only pretexts to leave me alone here. I have a terrifying certainty. I will disappear within a year. I'm afraid he will kill me, so I've begun to keep this diary. In it, I will record the way that the pieces are revealed to me, the day I am writing in it, as well as other subtle clues of my existence as a human being. In a gesture just as bizarre as his games with me, my husband has hung a calendar in the main hallway. In it, he marks the passing of time. Occasionally I catch him staring at the calendar with baleful eyes. I don't even know what time means anymore. What if it actually exists? The room that smells like cinnamon, January 1st. The room with secret doors which smells like sand, naphthalene and cinnamon. If I look out the window, I see myself at the age of 7, and I close it quickly, afraid that I will be called outside. It's only an illusion, of course, a little girl made of smoke and air, but she looks just like me. I don't know what I would say to her if she spoke to me. She's always playing with an orange ball. It's the one she got for her birthday a long time ago. In the room with the curtains, which I enter by slightly moving a statue, a few smoky silhouettes are waltzing. I peep at them. An old gramophone echoes from upstairs. Welcome, Katia. Welcome to the Ghosts' Hall. We serve odds and ends in porcelain cups and do not bear names here. Come, I've saved you a seat in the armchair by the fireplace. As I sit on the armchair, I seem to sink into its velvety depths. I prop myself on its arms so that I won't slide into it. A steaming cup entices me from a coffee table nearby. I try to drink from it, but it's empty. Fortunately, one of the puzzle pieces slowly forms on its bottom. I pick it up and put it inside my pants pocket. For a while now, I have only worn pants. This way I will not get my dresses caught up in the furniture. All of a sudden, Dali emerges from a teapot. I know it is him, the great painter, because I learned about him in one of my art classes. You weren't expecting this, were you? He sneers sarcastically. No, I answer him, glad that I finally have someone to talk to. It's a bit warm in here. I can't even paint a square. But squares aren't your specialty, maestro, and I'd be surprised if you, of all people, lacked inspiration. Dali twists his mustache and uses it as a brush, drawing a dog's head with it. An Andalusian dog? I inquire. More like my mother-in-law. I'm curious about something. How did you get the idea for your famous painting, The Persistence of Memory? I've always been fascinated by the manner in which you suggested the irreversible passage of time, the fear of seconds that trickle between our fingers while we sleep a misunderstood slumber. I like you. You're a smart girl. But you couldn't be more wrong. I didn't mean to convey the passage of time. I just woke up one morning and made an omelette. It trickled onto the plate. I had made it too mushy, although to be honest, Gala had bought some rotten eggs the other day. The image of the mushy omelette overlapped the clock above the stove. Now do you understand? I nod politely. Dali rolls up the sleeves of his white shirt. He draws a giraffe in flames on the table.